Today's date is February 3rd, 2018. My lesson is titled, Beneath the Surface. I'm talking today about courage. I'll read first from 2 Chronicles chapter 15 and verse 8. It reads, And when Asa heard these words and the prophecy of Oded the prophet, he took courage and put away the abominable idols out of all the land of Judah and Benjamin, and out of the cities which he had taken from Mount Ephraim, and renewed the altar of the Lord that was before the porch of the Lord. I thought how odd it was that it took him courage. So obviously it was a big deal for him to remove these idols and to get rid of all the improper altars and so on, and all the other paraphernalia that went along with idol worship. It took him courage because it's like you can just understand a lot of the people there, as he had taken some stuff from Ephraim, it says, some of the cities there, and a lot of the people were cleaving to these idols. They were using these idols, worshiping them. And, when there's a lot of force against you, a lot of pushback against you, a lot of pressure to do what you need to do, it's really going to take some, strong effort. So to push back against all of that, it took him courage to go through and do the thing that he knew was right, that he knew had to be done. Maybe you need courage for other things in life, pushing through and making certain changes in your life and so on. But in order to do what is just simply right before the Most High, according to the commandments as well, and to do that right thing in the presence of the people of the whole land, who should have no problems with him removing the idols, that took him courage. So that's how deeply idolatry was embedded in the people and in the land, that it took courage to cut something out of the land that should not be there. Courage just to do something that's right, something that should be normal. Courage is the strength to face difficulty. This means then, as I looked at it, that if the Creator is telling you to have courage, like he said that sometimes to like Joshua and, different people in the scriptures have courage and so on, then the Creator is really saying, if you think of it, that life is difficult. Because we grew up, most of us hearing the Christian teachings as we grew up in the Christian church, and we thought, man, if we could just be back in Bible times, in Bible days, and all kinds of holiness was there, and the presence of God in the temple, and the glory filling the house, and so on. And we thought everything was just all that nice, and we read of the wars in the Bible, and we kind of spiritualized the wars as well. And we don't really connect with how deadly it was, because especially over here in the West, we don't have to face the kind of wars that they face in other parts of the world that would give us a taste of what it would have been like when people were warring in old times. So we don't really connect with how bad it really was. But if the Most High is saying, have courage, he really is telling you that life is difficult. Because why do you need courage if it is not difficult, if it is smooth and easy? Life is difficult. He is also saying you must face the difficulties. So when the Creator says, have courage, he's really telling you things are difficult. Life is difficult. What's ahead of you is difficult, but you must face it. This is another lesson in the series Anatomy of Change. Great blessings, as I look at it from the scriptures and in the lives of people who are blessed, comes through great difficulty. Great blessings come through great difficulty. Usually that's the way it is. Sometimes you would have heard people say, you don't know what I've been through, what I've had to go through, and you're envying me, you're talking me down, putting me down, and so on. And sometimes we really do misunderstand other people because of the way that we see them live. Sometimes they live lavish, or sometimes they seem a bit, cocky, and they seem like they're overconfident, too confident. You don't know that in some cases, while sometimes they're carrying on in certain ways that's maybe a little bit too much, but in a lot of cases, I think that people sometimes seem overconfident or seem pushy because that's what they had to do in order to make it to where they are, which is a point where you can be cursing them for the way that they are. But that pushy attitude and that cockiness sometimes is what got them through. They had to push through, fight through, muster up the extra courage and strength and be like just super confident because they lacked confidence so much that they had to overdo it and they had to play the part, test it out in front of a mirror, test it out by themselves in their car and so on, until they just normalized it and then they just started living like that. Once it starts to work, that confidence starts to work, they just continue being like that. And so you're getting sometimes the full brunt of their confidence, which is probably more than what the normal person might need, because they had to practice it so much in order to get out of an extremely bad situation, that they did it so much in order to get out that it just became a normalized part of living. And now for them, there's no reason to change. They can't change. They've been doing it so long, pushing through, because they never want to go back to what it was like when they lacked the confidence, when they lacked the vision, when they lacked the proper direction to get to where they finally got to. Look here at Psalm 31, verse 24. It says, "Be of good courage. He shall strengthen your heart, all ye that hope in the Most High." Again, the scriptures are telling us that we need courage, and that courage is going to strengthen our heart. And you're going to need that if you are one who is hoping in the Most High. Why? Because the scriptures are really telling us that if you hope in the Most High, you're going to need courage and strength, because hoping in the Most High has you just holding on for dear life a lot of times. Forget some of the fancy things you've heard about trusting in God and hoping. This life is dangerous the way it is right now. Obviously, from what we read in Garden of Eden, it didn't seem like that. But one wonders just how much of that, because if there could be a serpent there trying to take down there, and evil was already operating. But if you are hoping in the Most High, life is tough, it is dangerous, it will beat you up a lot of times. You need strength and you need courage. A lot of people give up a lot of times because they just haven't figured out that the way to get what you desire in this life and what you're trusting the Most High for depends in large part on strengthening your heart and having courage. Not this whole stuff they taught us in the Christian church, fast and pray, and just a lot of praying and singing hymns and so on. And no, people don't even pray anymore like people used to. You don't even pray like you used to. I don't even pray like I used to. We've thrown away prayer like it's nothing. The kind of prayer we do now is either just saying a quick word in our mind as we do something else and we move on. But I think it's because people have proved that hard, dedicated prayer does not work in our world anymore. And one wonders if it ever did. Because I told you I'm rereading the Bible. You see, if prayer always did work, how can it come to the place where it stops working? So prayer must not have been the answer, but it would have been a part of life. Because if prayer was the cure-all, nothing could stop it from working, because if the serpent tested them in the garden, they failed and took them down, all they would need to do is just pray, and prayer would restore things. Prayer is not the end-all and the be-all. Look how many times you have prayed. But in spite of your praying, the scriptures is letting us know, if you just have courage and strengthen your heart so you can latch onto that courage and use that courage to make it through, you're going to make it. If you look even just in the book of Psalms, you'll find the word wait there quite a bit, a lot of times. Wait on the Lord, wait on the Lord. That's because, as someone has said, God often keeps us waiting. So in that time of waiting, you have to just come to the understanding that all that spiritual jargon that we've been taught and all the fancy songs that we have and so on, all of the knowledge that we have, none of that is going to help us get to where we want to get to if we do not have courage to push through another day, because this life really is difficult. And your mind might be running through as you listen to this lesson on the different things that have happened in your life and what you're going through. And for some of us, we're also thinking of how bad it's going to get just next month or for the rest of the month. Like, it is really bad in some cases. And the only thing that's going to get you through, I don't care how many people pray with you, how many prayer requests you ask others to do for you, to mention your name and so on. If you don't have courage, you're going to fall by the wayside. All the books that you buy, all the studying you do, all the videos you listen to, all the friends around you, courage. You can have good contact with your family or little or no contact with your family. Courage is what you need to push through and make it through. If you don't have that, you're going to get nowhere. And some of us replace courage and strength and pushing through with a lot of dreaming and just hoping. But I think courage is trying to tell us that we should bolster ourselves, strengthen our heart while we work towards something and push through with whatever we're trying to get to. As long as you keep pushing through, strengthening yourself and pushing through it, that's courage at work. Without that, you're not going to get very far. So again, courage is strength to face difficulty. But it doesn't mean anything if you're not doing anything. You've got to be doing something. Now, pressure brings destruction or change. You know about a volcano, pressure build up, it just erupts. Earthquake, that's a release of pressure as well. Pressure will make a balloon burst. Pressure will make something just move out of place. Pressure buildup will cause things to change, will cause things to crack, to break. This is in just a regular natural world. Pressure, even if you freeze like a glass bottle in the freezer, if it's very filled up with, let's say, water, as the ice freezes, the water freezes, it expands in there, the ice needs more room, so it pushes against the glass bottle. That pressure will cause the bottle to break. Pressure will break things. Pressure will just cause things to blow. Even in relationships that pressure causes all kinds of difficulties in relationships. If handled in a good way, if you can pull it off, whatever kind of relationship, it can be a marriage relationship or a job relationship or friendships, or even with family members that you grew up with, pressure can cause deeper, stronger relationships if you are able to handle it properly, both parties, I guess, but can also dissolve that relationship if the people involved cannot find a way to handle that pressure and release that pressure and make the whole episode of what they're dealing with play out in a constructive way, constructive for the relationship. Pressure is going to aid you, make you stronger, or it's going to break things, crack things up, dissolve whatever was there. Applying steady, regular effort toward a dream or desire will usually bring about the change you long for if you are consistent. A lot of people say they have strength and they're strong and so on, but they aren't really doing anything. You can feel strong, but you're not doing anything. If you're just sitting down, but courage will let you take that strength and channel it towards something that you're working for and push through and go through no matter how difficult it is to go through. That is courage. It's that part of you that makes you use the strength you have and the know-how you have to work towards something and to push through. Courage is also that part of you that lets you take the lack of know-how that you have and push yourself to finding out a way to get the knowledge you have, to learn even by experience what it takes to get to the end point of your desire. Courage will do that. But a lot of strength, a lot of dreaming and hoping, that stuff on its own doesn't move you anywhere. But when you put the courage in that and you say, it's difficult, but I gotta get across that river, you'll push through and find a way in spite of how dangerous it is. Courage is going to let you get to the other side, to brave it through whatever difficulties face you. Now listen to this. Sometimes you're put in a situation where you can't find even the best time to fight. And keep in mind, I'm talking about the anatomy of change, dealing with how changes come into people's lives. Sometimes a situation is really bad and it needs to be changed and you need to fight this thing through, you need to wrestle it to the ground, you need to make some kind of change happen. But sometimes the situation is so bad that you can't find the right time to fight, because if you start fighting at the wrong time, too soon or too late, you could lose out. Sometimes the situation is so far gone, so bad, so delicate, that you cannot even decide to fight at that time. And you have to strategize and try to find another way to deal with the situation. Picture someone just hanging off on, I don't know, they're hanging on something like some little piece of rope or way out on a limb, and you can't quite go out there to get them because it's too delicate. The whole thing is going to break if you go out there because that's a second person, so you can't rescue them. So you have to find another way to try to get this person to safety, to try to rescue them. And sometimes time isn't even enough, because the longer you wait to try to find out the situation, how to handle the situation, then the person's arms might become tired and they're just going to fall and get hurt or die. So sometimes conditions are so bad that changing a situation seems impossible. Yet you know you must try, and you begin to tackle the situation in your mind and try to strategize to find some kind of way, to devise a plan, come up with something of how you can attack that situation, and you work toward it that way that you come up with in your mind. See, it seemed impossible before, but you begin to work at it in a different kind of way. That's what courage causes you to do. Courage causes you to not give up and say it is impossible. When you have courage, you realize that the things that you normally think are impossible, when you are in that situation, you begin to see that it is possible. But it is possible does not necessarily mean it is possible immediately or right now. So sometimes some of us don't get the changes we want in our life because we get thrown off by the timing. Because we have a good idea or we have found out that something can work a certain kind of way, but the time is not on our side. We give up and say it is just not possible. Now, it's not that everything in your life is going to change, so let's not just get spooky with this thing like we're back in the Christian church. Some things you have to decide to let them go for the greater benefit that will come later on, or for the immediate benefit of just simply saving yourself in that moment. But it seems like a lot more things that we're dealing with can yield some more benefits to us if we would handle it in a different kind of way than we have been taught to handle it, and realize that time might have to be adjusted. Sometimes if you run too fast, you might be out of sync in the wrong timing. So don't confuse your keeping your stance right now for not having courage, because sometimes staying put is just a part of the strategy that you're going to use with the courage you have. Like if you're running from a wild animal, sometimes staying put might be, depending on the kind of animal and where you are at, the best thing to do. Then eventually the animal just gives up, goes away, or just can't find you anymore. Then you can come out. So that's a part of your strategy right there. Now, you aren't doing anything much, like you're not fighting him actively at that moment, but it takes courage to be still while you are that close to the animal, and be still enough so that the animal cannot detect you or cannot get to you as easily. So courage, when utilized with wisdom and strengthen your heart to tackle whatever it is going to have you strategize in the moment the best way that you can, even if sometimes it seems dumb. It seems foolish. Remember one time David had to, he said he jumped over a wall, leap over a fence, jump over a wall. Another time he went down to the Philistines and he acted like he was a madman with the spit running down his beard, down his chin, looking like a madman so they wouldn't tell who he is, and that brought his safety. So he made himself vulnerable. You wouldn't want to be vulnerable like that if you're facing an enemy, and the Philistines were usually enemies of the Israelites. But here he made himself become vulnerable, like when you're being still, when you're close to the wild animal that's hunting you. He made himself vulnerable in the presence of the Philistines because it brought him another kind of benefit. So sometimes with wisdom, with time, you learn that fighting a full-on battle is not the best thing. And people are going to curse you out and tell you to move right now and get this done right now and do this, whatever. Sometimes the people in your life are going to push you to do the things that they want you to do because they aren't strategizing in their mind to win. They aren't strategizing in their mind to grow in wisdom. They are not trying to do anything like that. They just want some immediate stuff because they're just dealing with all they have learned, all they've felt all along, just immediate instincts and so on. But you are being prepared for some greater things in life, and you must proceed according to what is going on inside your heart, how you are being led. Take your mind back, or you're going to miss out on the changes that can happen in your life later on. I thought about deep sea diving. I read years ago of, I don't remember the person's name now, but this woman had, I think it was some competition, and she had gotten way down deep trying to set a record or something, whatever, or some accident that happened. I can't remember. But she was way down deep, and she was down there for so long that she just couldn't make it back up. She just had a little bit of oxygen left and trying to make it up, whatever happened, and she couldn't quite make it up. And I did some reading on it and so on, and then I learned about getting poisoned if you try to come from way down deep in the ocean. Coming up to the surface too fast, you can actually die. So you got to come up slow, even if, if you'd rather rush because you feel like you're running out of air and so on or whatever. That threat is still there. Now, if you get trapped real deep and you are left to come up on your own, nobody can pull you up. Normally they have this rope or hose, whatever the proper term is for it, and they would just wheel you up, pull you up like that. But if you somehow have to come up on your own, you cannot try to reach the surface too fast, we're told, or nitrogen bubbles will form in your brain and you will die. Now, what do you do if you're trying to make your way up slowly then just to be safe? And there are sharks or other dangerous creatures around you in the water. It will make it even more scary. But the surety of life, however, even though threatened by whatever the condition is that you're facing there, is still also going to be threatened by the fast ascent to the surface. So with the dangers that one would face, you are still going to have to play it as safe as you can in that situation. And it's going to be deadly. It's going to be very scary how you make it through that. But what I'm saying is, sometimes you look at an immediate threat, and life is so dangerous and so threatening that while you're trying to deal with one threat, there is another danger that you were already trying to deal with. So you look and there's a dangerous fish, and you're just hoping he doesn't come to you, so you're just going to move slow and steady, not making too many erratic movements to attract more attention to you. But you're still going to try to make it up, because you don't have enough oxygen left to just stay still. You still have to try to make it up. That right there really is going to take some courage to decide, I'm going to still try to make it up even though this thing could see me moving. Because you're thinking maybe if I stay still for 5 minutes it might go away. But you don't know that, plus you're running out of oxygen, so you don't have 5 minutes to spare. So it seems sometimes that you have more of a guarantee if you pace yourself in that situation, in spite of the oxygen level in your tank, and try to do some slow swimming to the top, right, in spite of the pressure of the ocean, and just do your best to try to make it up before you run out of air. The water that deems such a basic part of life, where you can just drink a cup of water when you're thirsty, is now a threat to your survival and demands every ounce of patience you have as you steadily work to make it of the top. And you're swimming in the presence of dangerous creatures. And you know you just can't stop. You gotta keep moving, hoping they don't attack. It takes courage to move to your dream. But if you're not moving, you gotta wonder, do you have the courage to get to where you're trying to get to? You have to be doing something to work toward your dream. Pushing your way through some of the most damaging problems in your life will require steady effort, the will to push past all difficulties that you face, and the determination to see your way through in spite of the combined pressure of everything that's around you, everything that's squeezing you. You even have to do a decompression stop sometimes while you're coming up from so deep in the ocean just to save your life because of the whole nitrogen poisoning. So you're already dealing with these dangerous sea creatures. You're so deep, you're getting cold, you're starting to freeze almost from the temperature of the water. The pressure, you can definitely feel that, and you have limited air supply. And in the middle of all your trouble, in order to still try to save your life, which is what you're doing just by trying to make it to the top, you have to stop to do a decompression stop. And you tell me life is easy. So here you are, delayed again. You've made all the right decisions and you're just trying to make it up, in pacing yourself very well to get to the top. And you got to face this next delay in your life. Like, haven't you been through enough? During a time of delay that seems senseless, based on the urgency of your dilemma, that's when you got to wait one more time. Another delay. Many people have this kind of delay going toward their dreams. Even when you read the scriptures, you find people are just stopped along the way. Someone else doing them something else. You know, Jacob digging wells and they keep being stolen from him. He's got to go and dig again. And something is just always there challenging you. It seems all senseless. But you've got to keep in mind, when dealing with the anatomy of change, as you are beneath the surface in life, that you cannot give up just because there is another delay. And you figure 2 or 3 delays and you're wondering why a delay, but after 25 more delays in your life, you're still wondering why. But you have to keep in your mind that with courage you've got to face this next delay one more time and still strategize how you're going to move after the delay clears up. Because your mission is far too superior to anything else you have ever participated in for the Creator to watch you mess this one up, because you are unprepared and underdeveloped for what is left for you to do in your life. Your delay has to then, while you wait, be looked at in a different kind of way, because you will risk not getting the changes that you need in life if you misunderstand the delay and begin to curse it in a way where you say there is no point to this, because that will despirit you and rob you of your strength. It's harder to move on with your courage if you are weak on the inside. You got to shift your focus to keep your strength and understand your delay in a different kind of way. And see that your delay is the infusion of your power, your creativity, and builds into you the uniqueness of your calling in this life. For whatever it is you are going to accomplish, you have to interpret your delay as that experience in life that builds you in a way where you will be able to step in to the next part of your life just because you had that delay and had time to process whatever it was that you were going through. Your inner strength is going to grow in every delay if you treat that delay the proper way. Some people just cursing every delay, cursing, throwing up their hands, and they drop everything and they just sit down or they lay down and they don't move for weeks. They don't do anything else. Look around in your time of delay and see what's there. Take note of it. Your delay when you cannot move might be so strategic to where you are going that you're going to need that delay time when you finally get there. Because you will be able to interpret and function when you finally get there based on what you interpreted when you were looking around in the time of your delay. When you could look around in your delay and see and read the signs and see the pictures and see the colors and see all the signs that are there, everything that's around you, all the feelings, all the sensations of what's around you and of what you are going through. And to take the time to extrapolate from that delay and from your environment in your time of waiting. All of that is going to be needed when you finally get to where you're going. Nothing is ever a true delay. It's just where you're supposed to be. It's like if you're going to the kitchen to make something to eat. You'll walk through the bedroom, then you walk through the hallway, and you walk into the kitchen. You didn't really want to be in the bedroom or in the hallway, but you got to walk through those. And you're walking into the kitchen. You just want the food to eat. But when you get to the kitchen, you still aren't eating yet. You're making your sandwich or your smoothie, whatever it is you're making. And you stop right there and you're by the counter and you're fixing up the food. That point right there, you're not moving anymore. You're not traveling anymore. You're not whatever. You're not trying to make it to the kitchen anymore. But even though you're in the kitchen, you still can't eat yet because you're preparing the food. But while you are there, you are accomplishing something. The food is being built. The food is coming together. And you have to look at what you go through in life in such a way that you understand what seems to be a senseless delay is just the preparation of the food you're going to eat when you finally complete all that has been given to you. And when you make it there, you realize you didn't miss any steps. People were laughing at you. They were moving far ahead of you, leaving you behind. Your car was broken down. You couldn't make it. You're jacking up, changing a tire. You're doing whatever. Everybody else is shooting farther ahead and so on. But this is your own personal journey. And life is going to take you where the Most High wants you to go because He is leading you down that path. And if He wants to take you over there when somebody else is not going or over there, or if He wants you to stop and rest here for a while, you have to understand that the Creator who made all the things that we see, you read Genesis 1 and He made this and God said, let there be, let there be. He did not make these things for no reason. Very purposeful is He in taking you to places where you can't move as fast as you want to move. There is a reason. So the deepness that you feel under the water, with the darkness of a different kind of night that deep water envelops you with, and the cold temperatures that threaten proper movements in the deep, and the needed relaxed ascent to the top. There is only one thing to do as you rise from what could be a watery grave. You must see the surface in your mind. That's how you're going to make it to the top and get the changes you want. You've got to see the surface before you get there. Because that's what fuels your courage to say, I can do this. Because you already see it in your mind. You see yourself at the top. You see yourself coming up from the surface of the water. Imagine yourself at the top with people reaching to pull you into the boat. If dangerous creatures appear in the distance, it will take courage to move steadily and not give up. In the situation when your tank is running low, there is only one way to give yourself the best chance to survive this as you rise through the cold, heavy sea. In the darkness of the waters, you must see the surface even though it is not yet visible. People who rise, who accomplish in spite of the odds, who make something happen out of nothing, they see in the dark. They move through the pressure. They put themselves at the surface before they even get there. You must dream of being there in order to appear there. A dream, a vision, an imagination is your transportation to the surface that will change the struggle that you now face. It takes courage to do all of that when cold friends leave you to just a memory and vindictive family members plot the difficulty of your path. Life will give you a cup of water on a thirsty day, then another day try to drown even the best of us. Close ones will dance with you, then secretly sabotage anything you are doing. But the person who can wake up the divine spark in them to dream again and create a passion for a dream and not stop moving toward it, that person will move through with an unseen force given by the Creator. For he made the man out of the dust of the ground and breathed life into his nostrils, the breath of life, it says. So the Creator, he dreamed of creating a world out of what he envisioned in his mind. And when he breathed into the man, he entered into the man, and Adam became the walking, living expression of the greatest dreamer there ever was. And God said, let there be. Let there be what I imagine. And all that the Creator imagined, it came to be. If you can work toward what you imagine, the power of the Creator has already been breathed in you to accomplish your goals. You must see the surface in your mind, and it takes courage to decide to live like that every day while you move toward it, while you work toward it, while you push yourself toward it. Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 23. And he gave Joshua the son of Nun a charge, and said, Be strong and of a good courage, for thou shalt bring the children of Israel into the land which I swear unto them, and I will be with thee. So often the Creator speaks again of courage, because life is difficult. Things you face will be difficult. He tells you, though, be of good courage. Strengthen yourself today. Face that challenge again. You might have to work it out in a different way, but have courage while you come up with that plan to come at it in a different kind of way. Psalm 27, verse 13 and 14. David here said, I had fainted unless I had believed to see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. So he's having courage to go through this stuff, and he's saying, if I didn't have the strength and the courage, I would have fainted, and I would not have seen the goodness of the Most High, because I would not have been in the land of the living to enjoy that stuff. I would have been cut off a long time ago, but I believed that if I had the strength and the courage to push through, I was going to make it. Again, I had fainted unless I had believed to see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Wait on the Lord, be of good courage, and he shall strengthen thine heart. Wait, I say, on the Lord. If you determine to have that courage and to say, I will work toward it, I will move toward it, I will accomplish this or that in my life, the Most High will strengthen your heart to help you to accomplish your goal. Have courage when you're beneath the surface.